It's no surprise that making a video game is a very hard thing to do. And I can detest the amount of work that has to go into the games because I have attempted multiple times in the past to make a video game myself. I personally believe that making a sequel to like a video game or really to anything is an even more difficult task to complete. And the reason being is that, there's a lot of expectations out of the sequel. Expect to have the players expect to play something familiar, yet get something entirely different at the same time. And there's a lot of pressure for the developers to meet and also exceed the expectations that the fans have from the original game. And in my honest opinion, there have been very few video game sequels that have been able to either meet the expectations of the fans, but also exceed expectations that they had from the original game. And some games that come to mind for me personally is Mass Effect 2, as well as Devil May Cry 5, because I really like those games, and I really enjoyed those sequels. And with that said, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Alan Wake 2 is one of those sequels that exceeds my expectations that I had for it, and that is worth the 13-year wait that fans have been waiting for the sequel to the original Alan Wake game. So stay tuned to the review to see my thought process and the reason why I feel this way. Alan Wake 2 is the long-awaited follow-up to the cult classic Alan Wake that came out pretty much exactly 13 years ago, where you play as Saga Anderson, an FBI profiler who arrives in Bright Falls to investigate a series of ritualistic murders. Saga soon realizes that she is trapped in a nightmare when she discovers pages of a horror story where the story actually becomes true. And Saga is not alone in this nightmare either. Alan Wake is the other hero of this game. He is a writer that went missing 13 years ago in the real world, but this entire time he has been trapped in a dark and a twisted dimension called the Dark Place, that twists and basically preys on your fears and frustrations. And so this entire time throughout the game, you'll see Alan desperately trying to find his way back home, trying to keep his sanity, while also fighting off and beating the dark presence at its own game. One of the things that I enjoy most about Alan Wake 2 is how well that Remedy has done at juggling two different characters and perspectives at the same time to make them feel like they're their own characters and their struggles are different from each other, but also how well they do at bringing everything together as one unit and having everything fit together. And the best way for me to comparing, give an example, is to think about Last of Us Part 2, because that is a game where you play as two characters that kind of play similarly, and also have their own struggles, play differently, have their own tone, and when you play their story. But I feel like Alan Wake 2 does a way better job at juggling it compared to Last of Us Part 2. Not to throw shade at that game. I did enjoy that game for the most part. I wasn't hating on anything, but honestly, if you played Part 2, or you play that remaster that's going to come out, and then you play Alan Wake 2, it's difference is night and day how it's handled. Because with playing as Saga, I felt confident and more encouraged to combat the enemies, and to find resources, tools, collectibles, things that would help me out in my journey, like I was in with Abby in Last of Us Part 2. But with playing as Alan, I felt more cautious, more worried and anxious. Not trying to get into fights like that. Same thing as with Ellie, because she was more of the stealthy type. But yeah, this Alan Wake 2 does a really good job at juggling two different characters, and and even though they feel differently when you play them, they still work together to kind of a yin and yang in a sense. And the dual perspective of Alan Wake 2 also extends to the gameplay as well. There's a mechanic in the game called a mind place, which is essentially a special place that both Saga and Alan has that they can go to find, after finding certain amount of pieces in the game or certain clues or inspiration they can use to progress the story or bypass a certain location. And both of the characters' mind plays work differently from each other. So Aga's mind place, her being an investigator, essentially is like a case board where like you find the clues in the world as you explore, and you're trying to piece together like what's going on in this case, like who's the cult of the tree, what happened with Alan Wake, why am I trapped in like this horror story, things like that. And on Alan's side, how his mind place work, which is called a writer's room, by the way, he has to go out in the dark place and find special sites and also inspiration. And once he finds that location and inspiration, he goes to the writer's room, to his drafting board, and input that inspiration in. And once he does, it manipulates or changes the environment that he's in to open ways that he didn't have access to before. There are some similarities between both Saga and Alan's mind place, where you can basically view the collectibles that you find in the game. So you can collect, manuscript pages you find along the way, audio recordings, video recordings. You can upgrade weapons that you attain, as well as upgrading the character themselves and whatnot. One other thing that they're similar is that basically you're not safe in the mind place when you use it, so you can get attacked. This happened to me before, but it almost did once, but I didn't get attacked. But you want to make sure that you're in a break room, which is basically a save point area, or a at a strong source of light to protect yourself when you use the mind place. So earlier I had mentioned that Alan can manipulate the dark place in the writer's room, and so playing as Alan, it's not the only way that you can manipulate the dark place. And essentially what you can do is like you take a light charge from another source of light that is like, you can tell that you can take it by like a little indicator in the world, or like the light is blinking, but you essentially take that light charge and you take it to where you need to go in order to open up a new path where you can find more collectibles, or a new way to like a murder site to progress the story. So even if you do get attacked while you're in the mind place, you're not completely defenseless against those attacks, because there's combat. This is a third-person survival horror game. This is as modern as the modern survival horror games you get. So if you played Resident Evil 4 remake this year, or you played the Resident Evil 2 remake, or Resident Evil 3 remake, those are the games I think of when I think of modern horror, survival horror. If you play those games, this is pretty much like how Alan Wake 2 plays. You have a menu system where you have to find and collect resources. You have a limited amount of resources that you can use, and you have to manage them, things like that. It's typical survival horror games. There's two, so like playing as Saga in this game, in the combat section, she has a lot more tools that she can use to combat the Taken, which is the name of the enemies in this game. She can get like crossbow, shotguns, a rifle, like a lot of stuff. And she also has these charms. She has like 3, and these charms can like boost her stats. And so there's one charm that can give her more resources, and I pretty much had that. And there's another charm that can save her from like dying, and there's another one that can help like find collectibles much faster than you would by playing the normal game. And I have a video for that if you're trying to see like how to get that. Just check somewhere in the link in the video. But yeah, and playing as Alan, I felt more conservative playing as him, because He didn't have as many tools as she did, although I did still feel capable as playing as Alan, because the tools that he has was related to like him and like him as like a character and everything. But I did notice that as Saga, I was kind of more of a Rambo type, while as Alan, I was more conservative and stealthy. Going back to my comparison to Last of Us Part 2, where Abby was Rambo and Ellie was like more stealthy. And the enemies in this game, they were very challenging, very fun to fight against. It's the best way I can say it. There was a lot of enemy variety, and they posed like different different challenges, and had me like strategizing of like how I would handle them. If you never played like Alan Wake, the first one, in this game, the Taken have like these shields that you have to get rid of by shining your flashlight on them, and that will allow you to do damage to them. But in this game, you can do that. Plus, on some enemies, there's like a red marker on them that if you shoot them, it does like massive damage, which also adds another layer to like the whole combat system. There are bosses to this game, and I really did enjoy like these bosses. There was one in particular where like I had the most trouble with, but I made it in there. I hanged in there, I got it, so it didn't bring me down. But I still had fun with the bosses. They offer a lot of they're very fun to fight against, very interesting, and there's it's very good boss fights in my opinion. So one of the things that's by far the most important and the best part about the game is the story. Remedy has done a great job at, like I said, juggling like two different characters with like two different perspectives and goals, and written the story in a way where even though that they're different from each other, their goals in the sense they come together in the end for one single person. Everything is working in harmony with the story. Everything makes sense in the end with why certain things happen. The atmosphere and the tone in the game is chef's kiss. They've done a really good job at setting this tone, especially if you play the first cutscene in the game. It gets you hooked in. Everything's spooky, and you have this real sense of you're really diving headfirst into the unknown, but you can't help but be lured in and trying to discover or find the answers, or trying to make the unknown known, in a sense is what I'm trying to get at. And this game does a really good job at making the scary and the mysterious appealing, and making you want to, inviting you in to discover it. Saga, playing as Saga's story, her purpose in the game, her character is really well done. Chef kiss to you guys. You guys done a really good job. Shout outs, I always enjoyed seeing a black character in the game, and you guys have done a really good job at doing it. Alan, him as a character, he's really good too. I really enjoyed his character, his struggles and everything like that, and what he's trying to do is definitely interesting to see how he's fallen, or the state that his mental state is, being trapped in a twisted dark dimension, the dark place, for 13 years that can do to a person. But yeah, the story is incredible. I enjoyed all the characters, even the side characters. I enjoy seeing them plays, and it was definitely interesting to see. It's definitely weird and kooky. I've never seen Twin Peaks, which I know a lot of people are going to say what, why haven't you seen it? But I know that Twin Peaks has this I can't think of the word, but it's known to be weird and kooky, and I definitely get that feeling from Alan Wake 2. but this game does like a really good job at like, you know, inviting you in, setting up the story, hooking you, like presenting the stakes of the game, and then, you know, rooting for like the characters and helping them out in the story. So this game is like definitely top notch, like 10 out of 10 to be honest. And so in conclusion to all that I just said about Alan Wake 2, you can guess that this game is definitely great. It's for me, it is personally my game of the year so far, and I've played a couple of games like Liza P, Armored Core 6, and I mean, those are the things I can think of off the top of my head, but because this year 2023 has been like stacked with like good games, and Alan Wake 2, you know, is a standout for me. To be honest, is the story is like mind-blowing. I really enjoyed the characters. I love how Remedy you know, juggle two different perspectives. The gameplay is like super fun. I enjoy survival horror games, so that's probably, I'm a little bit biased in that. I never had like any I never had any issues playing the game. It could be just because I was on PS5. That could be, I was on console, so that could be the reason. I have been hearing that there are, you know, optimization issues. I've seen it happen near the later parts of the game, but you know, you're still able to like beat it. But Alan Wake 2 is definitely like, you know, top notch in my opinion. Top notch game. And if I had to score it, you know what, I'm not going to score it. I would say it's definitely worth the $60. Definitely worth the $60. And I know they're going to come up with like DLC and expansion pass, like some free DLCs and some expansion passes, like 2 in particular. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for that stuff. But thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble about Alan Wake 2. Like I said, I really enjoy this game. I cannot suggest even more to get this game. I think I've seen it on like discounts or something like that, but I would say that Remedy deserves, you know, a full price for this game. It's really good. They have never failed me before, because I have played Control and the original Alan Wake. Those are really good games. But if you want to see more type of this stuff, you know, I got some more videos on Alan Wake, like basically I got 2 in particular, like how you get you know, a Mare Setter charm, which it basically helps out with, you know, finding collectibles for those collectible hunters. And you know, you can see like my initial impressions, or I don't know what to expect in Alan Wake 2. Either one of those games, either one of those videos that you see over there. I can't think right now, but thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.